So 2021 started, and last year I was so structured. I had a plan. I knew exactly what I wanted to do for the year. It all went to crap. We can probably all identify about the time of year that things started really going off the rails, and I think many of us were like, "That's okay. We'll just get them back on the rails." And no, we won't. So that's now over. So it's time to start fresh. So I want to talk a little bit about my gaming goals. Trying to keep it mostly gaming related. My gaming goals for 2021. I haven't really written these down. I don't really have a plan, but we'll put it here for posterity's sake. And I'll kind of work through what I want to do this year, and then kind of shape out like what the plan on that goal wise means. We'll start with just the two games that I spend most of my time in, World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy. I want to be proficient in all of the tanks this year. Step one was to get all those leveled. I'm getting really close on that. In Final Fantasy, I have 2 of the 4 at level cap, and I have them decently well geared. I'm missing 1 week of Eden normal stuff before they're all full 510 or better. Other than my weapon being the old relic. So we'll see what happens with 545 and whether or not I need to go try to find an extreme group to kind of upgrade that. So that is where they're at. I have my other 2, my Paladins in the upper 70s and my Dark Knights in the mid 70s, low 70s. I just hit 70s. I was going to say mid 60s. Low 70. I just hit 70 on stream the day that I'm recording this, whenever this goes live. And so that's done. In WoW, my main is a Guardian Druid, so I am a Druid tank, and my Demon Hunter is in Shadowlands, not leveled. My Warrior and Monk need to go through the Shadowlands scenario to be in there, but they're both at 50. And Paladin is at 36, and Death Knight is at 40 or 41 or something like that. So they both are coming up on the end of the leveling experience pre-Shadowlands. So sometime, ideally in January, everybody's in Shadowlands, ideally going into BlizzCon FanFest, which are the 2 festivals that are happening throughout February to let us know the future of Blizzard and the future of Final Fantasy XIV. I would love to see FanFest move to being more Final Fantasy related as a whole, and then maybe long-term moving to being more Square Enix as a whole, where you can see some representations from the many other franchises that are represented there, and make it a bigger thing and make it a more annual thing, because right now it's every other year and it's timed with hyping up the next expansion. Thankfully, thank God, the expansions for these games are every other year, and so it's really easy to say which game stands the best chance at winning each year, because they get the expansion, right? So like as a whole, how is it going to feel on December 31st of that year? 2020 seemed like it'd be obvious for WoW, and this year seems like it'll be obvious for 14, as far as like the amount of new content being introduced, because you're comparing a number of content patches versus a whole expansion worth of content, which is just hard to keep up with. It's not always how it shakes out, but it is that is how I feel like, just as a general history. Every other year is WoW's year to lose it, and it's 14's year to lose it, and it's their ball to drop. And don't worry, I believe that theoretically both companies would be capable of dropping it. So with that out of the way, that's kind of where I want to be with those. After that, I want to get through all of the professions. There are some professions I've never really gotten into in WoW, and crafting, I'm at 60 plus on all my crafters. My gatherers are all done, so I'd like to go ahead and start doing that in 14, mostly interacting with the last stage of rebuilding of Ishgard. That's basically our first time to do like an Encourage style event. We're rebuilding an old city, and this is the last step of it, going live here in probably a few days. Once again, depending on when this is going live, I'm filming this on January 1st, so but I'm trickling my videos out. So yeah, that's the plan there. So I would say that's kind of those 2 goals done. What that means for content creation is, here on YouTube, between work to game, gaming, kind of anything else, I want to publish 200 videos this year. 200 videos of at least this quality or better, whatever that means. And then I would like to stream for as long as that makes sense. In December, I got a bonus on a contract that I worked over the summer months, over the early part of the year, from I think like March to it's probably like August or September or something is when I finished everything up. And so when that contract ended, that wasn't sure if I was going to get a bonus, because I thought with 2020, you know, like you just never know. It's written in the clause that they kind of have control over it. So there wouldn't really have been a lot of recourse if they'd said, you know what, we had a rough year, we're not bonusing you. And they did. And I'm incredibly thankful for that. And so it was money that my wife and I budgeted not to get, because that was the responsible decision given the year. And so when it came in, I was able to stream more. If you guys wondered how that came out of, now I have continued streaming into January. At this point, as a contract worker, what determines whether or not I go out and either take contracts from people who have reached out or reach out and try to secure a contract on my own, what keeps that from needing to happen is the continued community support. So that is just an open dialogue. As long as you guys are supporting it, I'd like to try to make it possible. I don't have like a set goal. My wife and I don't have kids or anything. So, you know, we try to adjust our lifestyle for the set of goals we have, the amount we want to work and the kind of work we want to do. She has worked at the same company for a long time, and her workload's very stable, which gives some stability to our life. And then mine is a lot more of the, how many vacations do we want to take, and all of, you know, do we want to do something like when we bought a house and or pay off debt or things like that, and my income takes care of that. So to not get too bogged down in talking about that, that's kind of how our stuff works. And that's what's determined years when I'm working myself to the bone, and years where I feel like, thank God my wife is doing some real work around here, because I am just working on the garden or, you know, whatever. And so like, thankfully, that's what determined the amount of content creation. So streaming, it's hard to set a goal because it's so time intensive. But for now, the plan is Monday through Friday, live at 8 a.m., done when we're done. That's historically so far, historically, been around 2 p.m. From there, I would like to, in Warhammer 40K, my goal was to build 2,000 points last year. I got more than that built, and was to get painted, and that fell off the rails just because it fell off the rails. There's no excuse. I was home. I would like to move to having I would like to finish building everything I have unbuilt this year. And I would like to have the ability to field a 2,000 point list that is fully painted. Painted to base quality, so like the lowest, just 3 color minimum. Base is a color different than the model having 3 colors on it, ideally with, you know, and those are all painted in a way that I'll be able to improve it from there. So not just slopping the paint on there, but, you know, limited number of colors have been applied, and they're base colors. So any blending and stuff will happen after the fact. So Warhammer 40K, that's kind of the plan there. I don't really share a lot of it here on the channel. If you guys have an interest in it, I don't know, maybe there's a place for it, maybe there's not, maybe it needs to go on a different channel. Yeah, that's kind of my non-gaming hobby is still me geeking out. It's either D&D or Warhammer or something like that. So I really, or playing board games. Like I really don't have a lot of non-geeky stuff. As far as like fitness, which is the other side of life that keeps me feeling good, this year I would like to be better than last year, but to kind of set a goal. I have a goal that Memorial Day here in not that many months, I would like to do CrossFit's Murph workout, which honors it's a specific veteran, but it honors veterans and those who serve. And it's a pretty grueling workout, and so I'd like to be able to complete it. Originally, I thought I'd want to do it weighted, but I was also working out in a gym last year, and now I'm not sure that's reasonable. I also don't even own a weight vest, and like I don't really have access to like a pull-up bar. I have to do pull-ups off of other, so like I'm not sure weighted is still in the cards, but it's a mile run, and then it's 100, 200, 300 of pull-ups, push-ups, squats, and then it's another mile run, and I'd like to be able to complete that. And then the goal is just not to fall off. So after that's complete, I would like to then kind of maybe set another goal at that point for the rest of the year. And then I'd like to use our spin bike more, because we bought a spin bike with the money we saved by cutting off our gym memberships. So I'm not like a horribly fit guy, but like, you know, I like to not look awful in a shirt, and I have before. And so like keeping that was, and it wasn't easy to turn around. It took a full year of focus to get myself into like I think my wife said I looked like a mannequin filled with sand. And at the time I was wearing dress shirts to the job I was working and suits. And she's like a Calvin Klein mannequin. And so I was like, that's incredibly insulting. She's like, well, I said Calvin Klein, but like filled with sand, like it just raw. And you guys only see from here up. So I lost a lot of weight and I'd like to keep a goal there. So from fitness, I would say that's YouTube, that's Twitch. I'd like to play more games, but I would like to kind of just set a goal to get through them to that kind of like, I understand them, not full clear them. Try to keep myself away from like completionist tendencies, because what I tend to do is I tend to procrastinate, overcommit, and have a completionist tendency. And what that means is I tend to put off doing things until the last minute, until like I've set a goal until the last minute, and I tend to think I can get more done than I can, and then I tend to want to do everything, and what that all results in is just like anxiety, because it doesn't get done. So I'd like to maybe set like a more reasonable goal. Like I'd like to do a playthrough of some games, and if it ends early, because like I'm playing, like if Baldur's Gate makes the list and I die early, I'm not going to save scum my way through, not because I don't think that's a fun way to get the clear, but because that's a great place to just call it done. Next game. So with each game, I'd like to get my dollar per hour out of it if it's there to be had, but beyond that, that's about it. So I'd like to do a full clear from that definition of full clear. I'd like to do a playthrough of Cyberpunk. I was waiting for it to be the game that is worth the amount of hype we've had. We went through like 4 release dates, and it doesn't feel like the final release date was really the release date. So I'd like to wait until it's a really smooth experience, the buttery smoothness that will make me love CD Projekt Red for it and not be frustrated. So I haven't heard that number of patches is out. I'm trying to hear but not hear spoilers. So but I assume a few months from now, maybe as we're slowing down, as we prepare to go into the Final Fantasy expansion, sometime I assume this fall, and as World of Warcraft is kind of mid-cycle where things can kind of sometimes bog down a bit, maybe there's a good point in there where CD Projekt Red can get a big chunk of my time. And leading up to that, like I'd love to finish The Witcher. I started it, didn't finish it. There's a number of titles. I don't have a list. I really just want to get to the game of the year this year, and I think more than years past, instead of either going, oh, that's so cool, or I heard about that, or reactive, oh, that got nominated, I should play it. I'd like to be a bit more proactive. I'd like to, when possible, try to get to where when I'm watching the Game of the Year awards, or when I'm watching YouTubers put together kind of tier lists or whatever, I'd like to go, oh, I already have an opinion on that thing. And I think that's a really big trend in kind of how I want to enjoy these games, is because like Brian and I are bringing back the podcast, and I'd like to start doing more collaborative stuff with other creators as just kind of a really loose, I don't know how to quantify that goal. And one of the things I find, it's not embarrassing, it's not frustrating, I don't know what the word for it is, but like I have, it's not a regret, but like when I have an experience with another creator and they go, oh my gosh, so I love this thing, and I want to talk about it, and here's a bunch of lingo about it, and I have this deep understanding of it, what are your thoughts? And I go, I didn't do that or know anything about it. Like I don't want that feeling. So I don't know what to call that feeling. I don't know if it's that I feel dumb or regret, or that I want to take part. But like when people have a lot of joy in some aspect of the community, I'd like to have at least a peripheral awareness of it. And so that relies on me touching more games, and that relies on me touching aspects of the MMOs that I play that maybe in the past have kind of fallen by the wayside. So that's what's driving me to go chase the lore in these games. That's what's driving me to level more jobs in these games, classes, whatever we want to call them. And that's what's driving me to want to just touch more games. And then may limit myself to things that come out on Xbox Game Pass or something like that. That way the dollars per hour is real low, because it's in something I already pay for. I don't know, but that's kind of I think things that are all shaped by 2021 that don't rely on COVID going away. They don't rely on some immense amount of anything that I can't control. So that keeps it all within stuff I can control this year, and I think that's my plan. I don't know if that list gave you an idea for your plan. I don't know if you guys want to come along for the journey of me posting about that sort of set of subjects here on Gaming Kinda. But that's kind of my plan for 2021. That's the type of content that, as of this moment, assuming this year goes totally to the plan that I have in my head today, and nothing different comes along as a better or worse opportunity, and nothing changes in any way, that's the plan. My wife and I have some travel we'd like to do this year. We have some plans for the house. I mean, there's all sorts of things that can come up that I can already tell you are going to change my life in ways that I can't foresee. So, like, I can already tell you, like, I already know life has curveballs. And that's assuming we don't have global curveballs. So, like, there's a very low chance that I achieve all of this plan, but this is the plan and the direction that I'm headed into the year with. and I would love to share it with you guys. And whatever you guys are doing, I would love to have that back. You guys in the comments, that's the comments, the support, hanging out with me on stream. That's what makes this. That's what provides this with the steam to move forward. So I really appreciate each and every one of you that choose to come be a part of this, and I'm not real good at showing it, but a big thank you. So let's get started with 2021. Gaming kinda, work to game, and elsewhere. That's where I'm gonna be, and I'm hoping more of this year than ever before in my life can all be related to gaming or adjacent things. So, kinda.